All right. I think we're live. I'm not sure if we're live. We might be live.
Might be live, might not be live.
might not be live. There's a red dot at the bottom of my screen, so I'm gonna assume that I am live. Welcome in everybody, and um, with us this morning is Dr. Justin Spees, the dreaded Rabble Rouser. Um, and he sent me a video this morning to look at, and I watched that video, and what I saw was pretty chilling. What I usually see when I watch your videos is pretty chilling, but what I saw today was particularly chilling. So, Dr. Spees, if you could just kind of set the stage for us, and then we'll play the video, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yep, the video that I sent you is from the USD 497 school board district had put in a second mask mandate for all students in the school district, and so that was a COVID mask mandate. So COVID was going on at that time, and I started a protest out there right in front of the school district administration building in Lawrence, and I was out there every day from July until they lifted that mask mandate in March. And so the school district was very aware of who I was, because of that protest that I did. And I started speaking at their meetings in September of 2021. And the following month, in October of 2021, I got a lifetime permanent ban from all school district property, because I attempted to attend an event at Lawrence High School, and I didn't wear a mask, and the superintendent at the time, right on the spot, gave me that lifetime permanent ban. And so,
Was there any kind of appeal process with that?
no appeal process, no even like graduating from, I got a 30-day ban to a 60-day to a 90. Nope, it was right on the spot. Lifetime permanent ban, no appeal process.
That sounds like due
Nothing
process, huh?
Yeah, no due process at all. And so at that point, I had to speak at the meetings online, which is still the case to this day. I'm still speaking online because of that. And then in February, and then again in April of the following year in 2022, I was removed from the meetings for speaking on the exact same topics that other people prior to me in that exact same meeting were allowed to speak on. And then in October of 2023, I filed a federal lawsuit against the school district for those removals from the meetings, and then also on that lifetime permanent ban. And basically, around May of 22, I stopped speaking at the meetings, more or less. I ended up also, on top of that lifetime permanent ban from physically being on property, in May of 22, I got a 90-day ban from even participating in the online meetings as well. And that ban was supposedly for violating their speaking policies at their meetings. So I was banned from participating in the meetings for 90 days. I couldn't be there in person. I couldn't speak online. None of that stuff. And so I basically had stopped speaking at the meetings until this past January, more or less. And the reason why I started speaking at the meetings again is because the previous month, in December of 24, there was a ruling from the judge on that lawsuit. And so I had gone in to the meeting online to give an update, to talk about how the lawsuit is going forward with viewpoint discrimination and retaliation and unequal protection claims on the lawsuit. But also, when I sign up to speak, the district will send an email, and in the email it talks about their rules for general public comment, and one of the rules is no foul language. And so in that January meeting, I think it was January 13th, I think was the date, I'm speaking, I give the update on the lawsuit, and then I say, well, I noticed in your policy that it says you can't use foul language. And, I thought to myself, when I read that, well, that's bullshit. And boom, immediately the board president, Kelly.Jones, says, I can't cuss. And I'm like, well, that's bullshit. I can definitely cuss. What the fuck are you talking about? And I get thrown out of that meeting by hanging up on me. So I'm out of that meeting. And the school board meets they meet the second and fourth Monday of every month. So the following meeting was 2 months later. And at that point, Lawrence Accountability, Michael there in Lawrence, had seen what had happened. And so he also signed up to speak there as well. And then there was another individual, her name is Carrie, which is in this video that I sent you. She's in that video. She also signs up to speak as well. And the video that I sent you references back to that specific meeting where she's speaking, and she gets removed. And she gets removed for reading she goes in and she reads books that are in the school district library that are available to kids that have the same foul language, quote unquote, that gets me removed, gets Michael removed, and gets her removed. And on top of that, those books are pornography. They're very graphic, detailed books on sexual encounters, and it's all available to children. And she reads that, and she gets removed. And so twice a month, so every meeting twice a month since January, so January, February, March, and here we are into April, I've been going in to speak online, and I've been removed from every single one of those meetings each time for quote-unquote foul language. And it happens immediately. Less than a minute sometimes. I'm out of there. She also has been removed. Michael has also been removed. Michael got a 60-day ban for using foul language. He was not allowed to speak in person there. Carrie, the following meeting, got a 60-day ban from all district property, not just the admin building, but all district property, because she used foul language while speaking there, and this was all under threat of arrest. All of this is, all the videos are on my YouTube channel, The Dreaded Rabble Rouser. Each one of them is documented there. And in particular, that one shows the police going up and removing her from the meeting and informing her that she's got a 60-day ban. And so this video that I sent you this morning was the most recent school board meeting video. And again, she gets removed for cussing, and then I get removed for cussing as well. And the foul language I use, I'm reading from a recent court decision, Moms for Liberty versus Brevard Public Schools, and in it the judge is discussing how one of the speakers there was reading from a book in the library, and it uses the word shit, and the judge says, well, shit, although an impolite word, is not obscene language. And as I'm saying that, I get removed from the meeting just for saying that, just for reading what is in that court decision. And in the process, I'm trying to let the school board know that what they're doing is wrong, and the courts have ruled on that you can say shit. You can quote unquote use foul language. It's obscene language is what the court is discussing there, but the board policy says foul language. And so that's that. So I posted that video and then I sent it over to you. And in the meantime, this has all been spun in the local papers there, complete slanted and biased against me and Michael, and in favor of the school board, that we're somehow causing a disruption by going in there and speaking during our 3 minutes during general public comment. And this is an important distinction to make. So they're trying to run with this, that we're just we're causing trouble, we're being a disruption in there. And the distinction would be like, if we were in the meeting and we were, while the board was conducting its business, we just stood up in the middle of it and started shouting stuff at them, that would be a disruption. But this has all taken place within the 3 minutes of allotted time while we're speaking. So we're basically, we're just using our First Amendment rights for free speech and to redress government. It's been twisted into we're now disrupting the meeting by using foul language, when the real disruption is while we're speaking, since that time has already been set aside for us. The real disruption is every single time the board stops us while we're speaking is, in fact, the disruption. And there's been a court ruling on one of my other lawsuits where the judge says that, while people are speaking, it can't be a disruption because that's already allotted time. No matter what language they're using, it's not a disruption. And so after this most recent school board meeting, one of the school board members, her name is Shannon Kimball, ends the meeting by addressing the fact that she says that she's received a dozen and a half voicemails and emails from people across the country that she calls harassment, bullying, and intimidation, where these people are reaching out to her and expressing their dislike at the way the board has been treating me and Michael and Carrie, and she twists it and gaslights it into, us poor public servants, look what we have to put up with. We have to put up with this harassment and this bullying from what she calls extremists. And so she says we take our videos and we post them online, and they end up in extremist forums, and those extremists, who she says they're all males between the ages of 30 and 65. And it's like, bitch, how the fuck do you know their age? Are they calling up and saying, hey, this is Billy from Colorado and I'm 37 years old, bitch, and that kind of stuff. It's total fucking gaslights, total lie. It's like she's hitting the talking points of these liberals that the extremists are these white male Christians, 30 to 65 years old, when in reality she has no idea how old they are. And as a matter of fact, going on their liberal lunatic logic there, she really doesn't even know if they're men. In this day and age, according to them, they could be women.
That's true. She's identifying for them. I mean, talk about discrimination.
Yep, discrimination. Talk about bigotry. How does she know? She's dead naming them and misgendering them right off the bat, and it's just another example of their hypocrisy. Where they're free to do that shit as long as it supports their narrative that the right wing extremists are these scary men that are harassing them. And matter of fact, the article there in LJ World does use the word scary. Like, these things are scary. So it's all based on their fucking feelings and this victimhood mentality. And meanwhile, the actual bullying and harassment that's taken place is coming from them. There was one meeting there in January where I'm getting ready to speak. They call me up. They say, Dr. Spees, you're up to speak. And right as I'm getting ready to speak, one of the school board members, who's also participating in the meeting online, says on her microphone, she says, "Crazy Justin Spees." And I'm like, what the, you talk about a disruption. First of all, she's disrupting the meeting because it was my time to speak, nobody else's time to speak, but also a disruption in the fact that I mean, just think about it. Put yourself in my shoes. If you're getting up, you're getting ready to speak, and then you got one of the school board members calling you a fucking name. I mean, that totally disrupts your train of thought, what you want to say. It disrupts your time, because now I'm like, hey, your school board member just called me crazy there, and that wasn't part of what I was planning on saying before I went up there and spoke, but now I'm speaking about it because she just fucking said that. And I've called him out on that too at the following meeting. I'm like, hey, you guys have a bullying policy or an anti-bullying policy, and you also have an anti-discrimination policy that specifically condones all kinds of behavior like that school board member calling me a name like that. And what are you guys going to do about it? And they've never once issued an apology. They've never once said any, no disciplinary action. No, we don't tolerate this stuff or anything like that, or it was unprofessional. Nothing at all. It's perfectly fine for her to say that. But meanwhile, they're going to spin it and say that somehow I'm bullying them and I'm harassing them and I'm intimidating them by just going in there and speaking. And some of the words that I just happened to say happen to be what they would call inappropriate and violate my rights and shut me down every single time I speak in there prior to my 3 minutes being up. But somehow they're the ones that are tolerating the bullies in there. It's complete fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah, I mean, have they ever supplied you with a list of words that you're not allowed to say? Is there a
No.
list that you can see and reference?
Nope, no list, nothing like that. And as a matter of fact, they keep moving the goalposts. So their policy says no foul language, but they've said things like, in the meetings they said you can't use obscene language, you can't use inappropriate language, and those words all mean something. So obscene means something different than inappropriate, and so they just throw those words around, and if it's convenient to them, they'll use it to remove you from the meeting. Meanwhile, giving like you said, no direction on what exactly they're saying you can't say. So, there's been meetings in there where they'll allow the word, they'll allow damn, and they'll allow ass and dumbass. But if you say bitch or shit, then boom, you're out of there. If you say they have a shitty policy, boom, you're out of there. There was one other thing that I was gonna say on that. It slipped my mind, but it'll come back to me here in a second. But
Oh shit! Shit! I lost Doc. I'll call you back. Hold on, folks. Sorry about that, bro. I tried to bring Michael in.
Oh, okay, cool. I was gonna say call dropped, but
Michael, you're out of luck.
Yeah, you can't bring him in.
No, I guess I can't have two FaceTimes going at one time. I could bring him in and he could be, not be. Actually, I don't even know if I could do that. Let's see if we can bring him in on this, or if that'll disrupt things too.
So yeah, man, it's all just wild shit, man. It's all wild, and like I said, it's an ongoing thing, and it's also been kind of the damnedest thing to see that there's not more support from the community in terms of just people that would support the First Amendment. Like me or not, you can't see these videos of me being thrown out of there and all the stuff that's happened, and still side with the school board on this. They're wrong on it.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed too, and it's not limited to this in any way. Is just that if you've got a certain, and it's not even limited to politics, but if you have a certain kind of politics, you're basically persona non grata, and whether it's something that it should be stood up for, it isn't stood up for.
Right, and anyone watching this, I just encourage you all to go check out my channel, The Dreaded Rabble Rouser. All my videos on there are things that have happened specifically to me. They're speaking at local government. So right now we're just talking about the school board, but similar things have happened at the county commission meetings while I'm in there speaking as well. In fact, I got arrested at one of them for what they said was, just the wording, the messaging that I have written on a piece of cardboard. It's happened at the city government there in Lawrence. It's happening at the library, and it's all things that have happened to me speaking at these public meetings. And they're all documented on there. You can go look at each one of those videos. It's pretty fucking wild.
And just we're gonna watch this video, but just to be clear, you and I already forgot the woman's name that speaks during this meeting, and Michael, you're not ever or have never been accused of disrupting the actual meeting. You've been accused of disrupting your own public comment.
Correct. Well, they say it's disrupting the meeting. So like, for example, Carrie is her name. She got a 60-day ban. The police said the school board used the police to get her out of there under the guise of she disrupted the meeting because she used foul language, and when she was directed not to use foul language and persisted with that, therefore it became a disruption, which is complete bullshit. Because like I said, there is so I filed a lawsuit against Douglas County Commission, and there was a recent ruling on that as well, where the judge says in there that she fails to see how you could be disrupting a meeting even by using vulgar language when the time is already set aside. You already have allotted time. So once your 3 minutes starts, because that's set aside for you to speak, therefore it makes it so that you can't be disrupting the meeting when you're exercising your rights. Now, if outside of that 3 minutes, like I said, you stood up and started talking, not even cussing, but if you just stood up and started talking or yelling stuff up there or beating a drum, then yes, that's a disruption and it can get you out of there. But while you're speaking during your time, there's nothing that you could do that could disrupt the meeting. There's just nothing you could do. Outside of a threat, I suppose, but other than that,
you know what? I would even contend that even true threats inside your public comment are still. I mean, it's still protected speech. Now, there's going to be consequences for that if you decide to threaten somebody, but I don't think that they can silence. Well, maybe they can silence you from saying it. Who knows? But that doesn't even matter because they're silencing you for saying the word shit. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, threats would fall outside of protected speech. Now, they could get you for the crime of a threat, and I'm sure they could try to say that disrupted the meeting as well because now you've threatened them. But like I said, this falls well short of that. There's none of the stuff said is a threat whatsoever. It's just using what they call foul language. And Carrie reads school books in there. Oh, that's what I was going to say from earlier. So if you watch these videos, you'll see early on the school district was removing me and Carrie for reading the books in their libraries, and those books contain foul language. But now they've backed off of that, and they'll allow you to read the books, and so you'll see, like, as you're reading the books, you're dropping fucks and shits and bitches, and nothing happens. But as soon as you stop reading the book and say fuck or shit or bitch, boom, you're out of there. It's just another absurd thing that happens in there. So they're saying that their foul language policy is in effect because they claim that, well, because we're a school district and we have students that could potentially be in the audience or listening online, we got to protect their ears. But meanwhile, at the exact same time, they provide these books in the schools that the children can read and get the exact same language. And in fact, we can read it and be on air in there, and it's fine. They can't do anything about it. But as soon as we just say those words on our own, then it's an issue. But
and that in and of itself has become an evolving standard, right? Like at the beginning, you couldn't even read the book, right?
Right, and so there are court rulings on there in the nation that specifically say no, reading books is allowed. Matter of fact, this last meeting I was reading that one of those rulings, and those rulings go even further to say it's ridiculous that you could allow the books to be read in there, but that same language can't be used outside of that. The court failed to see how a school district could uphold that. But that doesn't stop USD 497. They're just fucking full speed ahead on this shit. As soon as you say a 4-letter word that they disapprove of, boom, you're out of there. And even though it's the same language that's read in a book. And one other thing that's important to note here is when they say that they're protecting the ears of the students. Well, the thing about it is students, although minors, still have First Amendment rights of free speech. And free speech isn't just speaking words. It also protects our ability to hear the words that are spoken by other people. So when the school district steps in and intervenes and says, oh, no, we got to protect the ears of the students, they are violating the rights of those students because they're saying, well, we don't want you to hear those words. But in America, no, you get to hear those words. And so it's a violation of these students, these so-called supposed students that are out there listening, that they can't they can't hear those words. So they're violating their rights as well. One other thing while I'm thinking of it, I just want to mention, so that lifetime permanent ban that I've gotten from school district property is interesting because the school district leases with churches on their property as well for Sunday services. So there are churches that hold their services inside school buildings. And so one of the things that ban has done is it not only has been a violation of my First Amendment free speech assembly there from school districts, but it's also a violation of my freedom of religion because I'm prevented from going to these churches in there in the school district as well. So not only is it a free speech and an assembly and a petition of government, but it also has gotten into religious violations as well. And there's been a turnover of a superintendent, so the same superintendent isn't even the superintendent that issued that ban, but that ban is still in effect with the superintendent. Even though that superintendent and this board have the ability to reverse that, they're keeping it in effect. And again, this is just for not wearing a mask one fucking time, going on 4 years ago. It's completely it's ridiculous. It's absurd. Makes no sense. It's total retaliation. It's total, them being vengeful and just downright just fucking being mean, basically, is what it is. And then they sit up there and say that somehow I'm bullying them and harassing them and intimidating them. Meanwhile, they're violating my rights. It's every day, because every day that ban is in effect is every day that I don't get to go on school district property.
Yeah, so I mean, I would call repeated attempts to control or silence dissenting voices, I would call that bullying in my mind. Yeah. I would call targeted behavior at specific community members, I would call that harassment. Community members, specific community members, not specific board members that serve at the leisure of the public, but specific community members, I would call that harassment.
Right. I would too.
You using power and authority to discourage participation, I would call that intimidation. So they're gonna gas everybody up, accuse them of bullying, harassment, and intimidation when it's these people that are doing this.
Right. And you wouldn't know that from reading the local media around there. The local media makes it seem like, oh, well, there's Justin again going in there. Fuck, what is he doing? He's disrupting.
Crazy Justin Spies, right?
Huh?
Crazy Dr. Spies.
Crazy Justin Speed in there. Look at him. He's probably just flipping over tables and all that shit in there. But it's like the reality of it is like, no, I'm just speaking during general public comment, and not only that, I'm online. I'm online. I can't even physically be present in there to do that. And somehow they're twisting that into that these poor school board members, look what they have to put up with, and not only that, look how brave these women's government officials are being. They have to put up with these mean men going in there and saying these cuss words at them, but look how brave they are. They're not backing down. They're standing their ground. But the reality of it is like they're chilling the community's speech, because anybody that sees the way that they remove me and Michael and Carrie just for speaking words in there, it makes everyone think twice. Like, oh shit, if I go in there and I voice a concern, what kind of retaliation am I going to have? Am I going to be removed? Are they going to call me crazy? Or are my kids in the district, they're going to have to worry about some sort of retaliation from the school district if I go in there and speak? And so what ends up happening is nobody goes in and speaks. The only people that are speaking are us, the three of us. Nobody else will do it. And again, I encourage everyone to go check out my videos on this. But one of the first incidents that happened that's part of this lawsuit is this February meeting back in 2022, where they had a series of speakers that spoke in person. And one of the first speaker of that meeting was the superintendent's pastor. And that pastor goes in there and just heaps praise on the superintendent. Says, oh, you're doing a great job. You're divinely sent by God and all this stuff. And so a few speakers later, it's my turn. And I start off by saying, hey, I just want to remind everyone that Superintendent Anthony Lewis, he makes, it was like $235,560 a year salary. And one other school board or one other staff member, he makes, and as soon as I say that, the school board stops me and says, oh, you're not allowed to say specific things about staff. And I'm like, I can't say things about staff. That pastor just heaped praise on the superintendent. And so that's viewpoint discrimination, and that's unequal protection. So because what they're doing is they're only allowing one viewpoint in there, and it's a positive viewpoint. And so someone that's on the outside observing the meetings will now only come away thinking, man, this school board is just great. There's only positive things said about them. Nobody says anything bad about them. Wow, this school board must be great. I'm going to get my kids in there. And they're framing the narrative as only positive things that are said in there, which gives everyone the wrong impression of what that school district is like. And it's an interesting thing because, like the papers there, that was a front page article just recently of me and Michael speaking in there. And it eats up pretty much the entire second page of the paper, and then onto a third page as well. But meanwhile, what's going on right now in that school district is that they had a teacher in there, an older guy in his 60s, that was raping children inside the school, one of the schools there. Just horrific stuff that he was doing to these kids. But you wouldn't know about it. LJ World, that paper, would rather run this article about me and Michael going in there and speaking and somehow harassing the school board, rather than holding the school board accountable for as to why there was a teacher in the school district that was raping children. I mean, you talk about something that should be front page news, talk about something that should get all of these parents in there voicing their concerns, but they're completely silent on it. Instead, they're trying to make it seem like the biggest news story out of the school board isn't this child rapist teacher, but it's these crazy guys, these men, these scary extremists going in there and intimidating and harassing the school board. It's complete bullshit. It's complete victim, playing the victim. It's victimhood bullshit, man. It's typical liberal bullshit is all it is.
Yep, they even get into us. Let's watch this so we can
Right.
see this lady's lunacy. But she even gets into age specific demographics somehow. Somehow she does it. I don't know how, but
Well, and before you start it goes to show the lack of journalist integrity around there, because that would be just an obvious question to ask as you're doing that interview as a journalist with her, and be like, So how exactly do you know their age? How do you know they're 30 to 65? But nope, that question is never asked. It's never mentioned in the article or anything like that. It's presented as fact. You're not supposed to question it. Just believe the school board member that she knows they're all between the age of 30 and 65. How she could know that, no one knows, but just believe her. Don't ask the questions.
Unfucking real.
Yeah.
All right.
Start with Carrie Schmidt, who is joining us from outside the district. She's come to speak to us about a topic that is not noted. Carrie, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. We look forward to hearing your viewpoint.
All right. Miss Kelly, I would first like to address the comment you made to me after you cut off my feed during the last meeting. And you're asking me not to tell the president about it? We don't have time to deal with this, and your mother has enough to manage without having to process her son's fucking quarter-life NATO sexual crisis, so I won't tell her. But once the conversation is over, you have to. This book says shit 82 times, fuck 150.
Okay, Carrie, that's your warning. I do want to point something out. We have provided you policy IF several times, but to be clear, you have never stepped foot in a library in our district, nor do you know anything about our curriculum.
How on earth would they know if somebody stepped foot in a library?
Well, they don't, and it also shows their ignorance on it and their incompetence on it because, as Carrie points out, you don't have to. You can access all that online. It's all on their website.
Yeah, exactly. Dumb cunts.
You mentioned how I know nothing about your curriculum. Well, if you had been listening to me, then you would know that I have never mentioned anything at any time about your district's curriculum. I have, however, mentioned what is in your libraries. I understand that you were trying to destroy my credibility by saying I have not stepped foot into your libraries. But a lot of people have not stepped foot into them because you have your whole catalog of books online for people to look up. For people in the community who want to look at books available to children in this district, go to books.usd497.org. Second, I want to respond to another comment you made about me. I have never challenged a book in your district because your policy doesn't allow it. And actually, there are many people who live inside your district boundaries that aren't even allowed to challenge a book due to your policy. Only students, staff, and parents can request a book to be reviewed. But you should know that, though, right? Because it's your policy. You rudely removed me from the first meeting I spoke at here because I read a sexually explicit book in your district. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome.
Okay. I'm so sorry. All right. Good evening. My name is Carrie Schmidt, and I would like to share a concern of mine regarding the sexual content you are providing in your libraries for adolescents to read. This district is providing books that describe how to go out, have sex, masturbate, head. Just so everyone understands what I'm talking about, I'm going to read a bit of a book called A Court of Silver Flames that is available at both of your high schools. He couldn't take it. It was torture, a special kind of torture, to have Nesta kneeling before him with his mouth and hand and not be able to roar with pleasure. But then she stared at him through her lashes, and the sight of her with his in her lips snapped something. Cassian slid his other hand into her hair, up into her mouth, and moaned so it reverberated along his straight into his. They tightened
Carrie,
further
could you
and
make your?
released.
I'm going to add. I'm just going to ask if you can make your point. At this, thank you.
It was.
Thank you for reading that.
Me to stop. Are you ordering, or are you asking?
No, I'm not
me
asking you to stop. I want you to have your full time. I think you have a point to make, and I do want to hear
it. Do I get my time back?
I'm comfortable with that.
Thank you. She took him deep and moaned, so it reverberated along and straight into, tightened further and released. Gathered in his spine, a scorching knot that had him aching into her mouth again. He was utterly at her mercy.
Okay,
Nesta moaned once more in a soft encouragement, and Cassian needed nothing else. Gripped her hair, her scalp, place. He hips,
Madam
she met
President,
him with
Yes.
each stroke.
call a point
Now,
of order. If
okay.
the
Here's
public,
the deal.
I'm
I am
sorry, ma'am,
following
we're
the
going to pause your time
standard
for just a
you
sec,
have
please.
set for the
You pause
students.
it. I
If she
appreciate
has a complaint, we have a complaint policy related to library materials.
Thank you.
And I would just remind the board that we have that complaint policy, and
Do you happen to know? It didn't sound like she was making a complaint.
Well, that's the thing. That's another gaslight on the school district's part, and they did the same shit to me back in when I was talking about that February 2022 meeting where I was speaking. They tried to say on your behalf that you're making a complaint, whereas me mentioning the superintendent's salary is not a complaint. For all I know, they stopped me from speaking, but for all they know, I could have been saying, and I think that number is too low. I think you should get more. He's doing a fantastic job. They have no idea, but they framed it as a complaint. Same thing happened with Carrie there while she was reading that book. And in fact, she says, I'm making a statement. I'm not making a complaint. I'm trying to let you all know the content of your books. It's not a complaint. But they didn't know how to shut her down, so they just gaslit and tried to reframe that as a complaint. And so in their minds, they could say, "Oh," and they have, their policy says the general public comment isn't a time for making complaints to the board, which is bullshit as well. It's like, yeah, that should be the time for making complaints, but that was like their way to opt out of allowing her to speak and allowing me to speak, as long as they say, in our view, you're making a complaint and you can't do that, so you're out of here. And it's complete bullshit. Meanwhile, the speaker is like, I'm not making a complaint. I'm just fucking telling you something, guys. What the fuck? Now, if I said I'd like to make a complaint or I'm filing a complaint, that's one thing. But, taking the liberty on behalf of the speaker to say that they're making a complaint is just what they use to get them out of the meeting.
I think it just reaffirms the fact that it's only positive voices that they really want to hear, and really that they have any respect for.
Right, and that's viewpoint discrimination. So they allow one viewpoint, which is only positive things, while disallowing another viewpoint, which they would term a complaint. That in itself is viewpoint discrimination, but it's also getting, that doesn't even, get into the fact that you're not even making a complaint. You're just saying something that makes them embarrassed, makes them look bad, makes them uncomfortable, something they don't like to hear, and now they're saying you can't say that. And so when I said earlier about I just don't understand why more people aren't outraged about that. It's like, that goes against the First Amendment. That goes against what it means to be an American and using your voice. You have every single right to go in there and speak about anything. And when they silence me or Carrie or Michael, they are, in essence, silencing the community as well, because it's chilling their speech, because people see that and they say, well, I don't want that treatment. I'd rather just keep my mouth shut. I have an issue with the school board, but I'm not going to say it, man. Look at the consequences of that shit. Whereas in true, freedom of speech would be, once your 3 minutes starts, you speak and it's over with. The board just sits there and listens, or not listens, whatever the case is, but they don't interrupt and they don't stop you. That's true free speech of what it should be. And that was always my, going into all this stuff. When I first started speaking, I'm like, yeah, it's free speech, man. We're Americans. We can go in there and speak. And I'm not joking. It's not just the school board. It's been across every, environment that I've gone into,
Mm-hmm.
county, city, school board, where you start speaking about something they don't want to hear, boom, you're out of there, man. And to the point where you can be arrested for it as well. And just think about that. Arrested for speech, just for speaking. And many times just for standing there with silently with words written on cardboard, arrested for that. It's fucking amazing, man. It is truly eye-opening, and it's been such a schema shift to see that's how it is in America, for me in particular. And on top of that, for fellow American citizens to witness that happening and just being totally silent themselves and be like, oh, whatever, that sucks for him, but I still got free speech. But in reality, you really don't. People really don't. They go in there and speak, and they could be removed as well if they don't like to hear it.
Yeah, what an eye-opening experience this whole hold a camera up thing has been. You know what I mean? And and I mean, you talk about Dr. Spies's description, or his link is in my description. Go to his channel, because really the amount of insanity that you see on your channel, I don't understand why you don't have 100, a million people following you. You
Me
just,
neither, man.
yeah, I mean,
Me
you
neither.
just got arrested. You just got arrested. You were at an event put on by the ACLU. So
Yep.
basically, the American Civil Liberties Union had you arrested for free speech, for protest, for whatever. But they, I mean, in full violation of the First Amendment, they used the power of the state to have you drug off public property for having an opinion that was different than theirs.
Yeah. It's all crazy. I've said this all along. Like, if I had one incident where this happened, it'd be like, wow, that's crazy. But this has been ongoing, consistent, repeatedly across different platforms. It's been the library, it's been the school district, it's been the city commission, it's been the county commission. It's gone up to Merriam, Kansas with that ACLU event. These things have just happened over years, and I agree, man. It's been the damnedest thing. It's like, you know, what is going to get people, to see and to realize how fucked up that shit is. It's just been the damnedest thing to see that, it seems like there's, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, really.
No, I mean, I think you hit right on it. It's a matter of the people see it, and then we have these cunts like Shannon Kimball that's gonna come out and say it's these people's fault. It's it's these people that have an opinion that's different than ours. It's these people that say that we might be doing something wrong. They're scary, so they shouldn't have a voice. And
Right.
and everybody is basically like, well, shit. It doesn't really matter if I have a voice. I don't want to be cast in with those group of degenerates.
Right. Yeah. Those crazy people. And that's how it's spun. And that's why, yeah, I take issue with the left and the right,
Yeah.
because the right is full of a bunch of fucking bootlickers that see the government do this and go, well, you know what? Yeah, that crazy guy shouldn't be in there doing that shit, man. But meanwhile, it actually is just fucking speaking. It's just speech. It's not going in there with a pitchfork. It's not going in there with a drum. It's not going in there during outside the allotted time and disrupting the meeting. It's not threatening these people. It's not waiting after the meeting to harass them. It's none of that shit. It's strictly speaking during general public comment. And the ACLU event, that wasn't even speaking. That was standing fucking silently, man. Standing silently in a public building can get you fucking arrested. And that's not the first time that it's happened. It's happened to me twice at Douglas County Commission meetings as well. And in fact, the judge ruled that the sheriff who arrested me and his deputies don't have qualified immunity on that, because a reasonable officer would have known that standing silently with a message, sitting in the crowd, and also another, sitting in the crowd conversing with other people in the audience before the meeting has started, is not probable cause for an arrest. So they lost their qualified immunity, because when you're engaged in a constitutionally protected activity, it cannot be turned into a crime. So standing silently in a public building is a constitutionally protected activity. And I'm still facing that criminal trespass charge up at up in Merriam, Kansas. Now, the Douglas County one, they charged me with disorderly conduct, but that got dismissed. And then the second arrest, they arrested me for disrupting a public meeting, but the DA even declined to press charges on that. But up in Merriam, Kansas, I'm still facing the criminal trespass, because they're trying to say that it was a private building. You can see in the video, and go check out the video. It's on there. It's on my channel. The police officer says that this is a private building, but it's a community center. And a community center is public, and on top of that, making it even worse against his case is that where I was arrested, where I was standing silently, was not only in a public building, but it was in a hallway, and that hallway specifically is a art gallery as well. It doubles as both. So it's an art gallery in there, and it's open to the public. So again, I just want to, ram this point home to people so that they can learn the difference. Like, if you go into a public place, it doesn't give you free reign to do whatever the fuck you want, and I'm not maintaining that. I'm not saying you can go in there with a fucking drum and just start beating it and be like, Constitution protect activity. No, but if you're standing in there silently, and even if you're in there just talking to people, the government can't then come up to you and be like, you're out of here. It's not a private business, and these police will try to either gaslight you or show how incompetent they are and say, no, you can be just like in a private business. You can be trespassed for any reason, and that is just simply not true. There is a difference between private and public. And in public, if you're not doing anything wrong, the government cannot come up to you and say you're out of here. You have every single right to be in there that anybody else does. And if you're not doing anything to violate anything, then you have the freedom to be in there. And once you get removed from there, that's when it becomes a civil rights issue. And I filed a lawsuit on the Miriam, Kansas, and the community center director. Her name is Anna Slocum, and then each one of those three arresting officers for First, 14th, and 14th Amendment rights violation, because they can't. The government can't seize you for no reason at all. They can't just roll up on you, put you in cuffs, and then fucking remove you from somewhere. And that's precisely what's happened to me 3 different times. But you wouldn't know about it. You would search in vain online to find anything written in the media about these unlawful arrests that have happened. They're not covering them. They're not covering them. And any kind of coverage always gets turned into the behavior. Justin's behavior got him out of there. And it's like, that's just simply not true. It's all a fucking lie.
Yeah, we've been completely abandoned by mainstream media, and they're actively working with the government in almost all cases.
Carrying weight for them.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to this here.
We can provide the citation through the policy for her to follow. Thank you.
Do we have the comment email that we can provide? So pertaining to the complaint about the materials, we can provide you the information for contacting the board and having that reviewed by a librarian. Okay, can we, Carrie, can you?
Wrong with me reading up here.
I'm sorry, Carrie. Do you have if you want to make a complaint about items pertaining to
and I feel like you're not allowing me to make that point.
I am explaining that if you have a complaint about a particular book, we have a policy, complaint policy pertaining to that, which we can send you.
And I have full rights to read the content to you.
You do not.
During public comment,
we actually have the right to
and know what's in the
Okay, so the time has run out. We appreciate the comments that you've made, and we will provide you the information pertaining to books, and you are welcome to email us anything additional you have to say.
I feel like the public needs to attend these meetings.
Have access to
Yeah, man, me too. But it's a combination of things like I just talked about. What prevents people is that they see the mistreatment in there and they're like, I ain't going in there to do that shit. But there's also apathy, a lot of apathy in the community. And then also Lawrence it's liberal. It's very, very liberal. It's like what Portland or Seattle would be like. You got the University of Kansas there. It is ultra liberal. And so I'm not liked there at all. I'm hated by the majority of people there. I've been in the news there. The COVID protest, all of that stuff framed me as some right winger, crazy right wing extremist. When in reality, in my previous life, I was a professor at a university, man. But it all got made political, and And so I imagine a lot of people in the community see this happening and they go, good, fine. I don't give a fuck about Justin. I don't give a fuck about his rights. And in fact, he doesn't have those rights. Meanwhile, they all will think that they enjoy those same rights as well because, yeah, they can go in there and speak because they say the things that are approved to say. And so you don't get a lot of support behind me because I'm just disliked. And then it goes into, like I said earlier, like I have a problem with what would be considered right-wingers as well because they're all a bunch of fucking bootlickers. Like, it's like, really, where are those people that you would consider to be, quote-unquote, on your side, see constitutional rights violations happening and be offended by it? And that's why I just appreciate Lawrence Accountability so much. Michael, he's great, man. We come from opposing viewpoints, but he is in there, and he'll tell you straight up the reason why he's in there is because when he sees rights being violated, he don't give a fuck who it is. He's going to be in there to defend it. And you would think most Americans are like that, but one, and they're not. But one of the things that I learned was eye-opening through COVID and has been through all of this is that that land of the free, home of the brave. That is complete bullshit. We are neither brave nor free. We're a bunch of fucking cowards, and we're not fucking free. COVID showed that to me as we all stood silently as the government just did whatever the fuck they wanted to us. And now you see it as well, where our fellow citizens' rights are being violated, and everyone's is so cowardly and so silent and so selfish. They're like, I ain't stepping out in there. I got a life. I ain't gonna have that fucking destroyed. Well, are you American or not, man? Do you see an injustice happening or not? And do you want to change that? Because I've always said, it's happening to me now, but because it's happening to me, it's going to happen to you all as well, because you just never know, man. There might be an event that happens tonight and you wake up tomorrow and you're like, I'm really disgruntled about that and I want to go in and voice my concern. And as soon as you do, it's an unpopular position. These boards will say, nope, can't say it, you're out of here. And then what? You still going to have hatred for me, even though your rights are now being violated in the exact same way? So this shouldn't be a personal thing like, oh, we don't like Justin, so fuck him, he don't get his rights. It should be, man, I don't want that shit fucking happening to me either, so I need to defend this shit. But it hasn't been that way. It's basically been just me and Michael doing it, which is why I appreciate and have so much gratitude of knowing that guy, and that we're both from the same city, and we both have these platforms where we can put our message out there and we can set the record straight and we can try to change the narrative. Otherwise, it'd primarily just be me going in there and doing that shit. And you got Carrie doing that as well. Carrie's known for she has sued another school district as well for their retaliation of her for going in there and exposing the illegal activities that school district has been up to as well. But outside of that, nope, everyone else fucking completely silent.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
I'm
lucky to have a few people local here, but it's so discouraging to see how many people are completely apathetic about rights. It's chilling.
Well, and the thing is, they wouldn't have that view if it happened to them. They would be like, oh shit, yeah, this shit can happen. They just think that it doesn't. They're under this delusion that in America that shit don't happen, while completely overlooking the fact that it is happening. That it's not me going in there and causing a disruption. It's not me going in there and trying to force my way into things. It really is just fucking speaking and standing silently. It's so outrageous that it's almost unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, we're about to get to the unbelievable stage from gaslighting Shannon.
All right.
Okay. Move on. James?
You assumed I was making a complaint and told me that I needed to look at your policy process. However, I was not making a complaint. I was making a statement so you and the community knew what kind of pornography you were providing to kids. Next time you lie or suggest to the public that someone doesn't know what they are speaking about, I suggest that you do your homework first, because more times than not they have. I don't know what you think you are gaining by making salacious statements about me, but it's a bad look. Not only did you do that, but you waited to make all of your catty statements after you silenced me because you knew I could correct you and could gaslight people into questioning if what I was sharing about your books was true. That is cowardly and shocking behavior from someone who preaches decorum and has the title of board president. I have made it clear that I choose to speak here because you expect adults to refrain from saying a stupid cuss word during your meetings, but you think it is okay to have those same cuss words written in your books you provide to children. Not only that, but you have explicit content available for children to read in your district. Your ego, your priorities, and your policy makes zero sense to me. I'm going to read a few sentences from a book called Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. Fuck off, I shout. Fuck, whispers Freddie. I'm fucking knocked up. Fuck, I whisper. Grace loves this shit. But we have to get all that shit. Can't we throw all that shit in the shopping cart? Long distance bullshit. Which he always lovingly referred to as the heap of shit. You need the same standards in your books that you have in your meetings if you want to provide, or if you want people to respect and take you seriously. If you stand by your shitty policy, then you need to remove books libraries that have cuss words in them, as well as pornography.
I appreciate your comments again. All right, so we're going to move on now to Dr. Spees, and he's also joining us from outside of the district, and wishes to talk about previous board meetings. Dr. Spees.
Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome.
All right, I want to speak to things that were said on the record at this meeting on February 24th, 2025, and I want to ask you guys a question about that. At that meeting, the speaker discussed a recent court case ruling, and that ruling spoke to the fact that speakers can't be disrupting the meeting with their speech during general public comment, even if using vulgar language, which you have removed me from meetings here for quote-unquote disrupting the meeting because of the words I use. After discussing that, the speaker at that meeting then said, quote, and this is on the record here, this is what that speaker said, "So the actual disruption is coming from you assholes up there." We can't be disruptive during our 3 minutes. It's already set aside. So the actual disruption is coming from you assholes up there on
That's your warning.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you and your warning. So, no, fuck you. I cannot be interrupting this meeting during my 3 minutes. It is not a disruption. This is called free speech.
Okay. We're going to move on. Mr. Arabi.
Would you agree or disagree that you assholes are actually the disruption?
Justin, can you refrain? I think you're making a point. Can you refrain?
Was that Michael's time? That was done beautifully. If that was.
Which is that? I can't hear anything. So what was it?
Oh, it was when you were in the car and they cut you off, and then they told Michael it was his time, and then you started talking. Is that what?
Oh yeah.
That was nicely executed.
Yeah, that was from a previous meeting. Yeah.
1 moment. Can you go back 5 seconds?
We're almost to Shannon.
No, you can. I want to make sure you have your time. Just a second.
So again, at that meeting, that speaker said, quote, "So the actual disruption is coming from you assholes up there."
Justin.
And I was wondering if you guys agree or disagree with that. At a previous meeting, Kelly, you stopped me from speaking because you said I couldn't use, quote, obscene language. And matter of fact, LJ World used that same phrase, obscene language, when they report on these meetings. So I want to read to you from the case of Moms for Liberty versus Brevard Public Schools, because the ruling on the use of obscene language and what is not allowed. And so in that ruling, court writes, during the incident, Moms for Liberty cites a member shared her concern that her child's elementary school library contained inappropriate books. She began reading one which detailed an in-school sexual encounter. I swung the door open, letting a soft light from the hallway shine a spotlight on them. "Shit," she muttered. And then the court writes, Belford quickly interrupted the speaker when she got to the word shit. That word, though not polite, is not obscene.
Justin, can you try to make your comments without utilizing inappropriate language.
So I can't, now I can't enlighten you guys on what district courts have ruled on the word shit at public meetings? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
And so that's what I've been saying this whole time, is that using the word shit
You can
is allowed.
definitely share your viewpoint without doing that. So if you would...
Well,
But you don't have to.
The word shit is allowed in my viewpoint.
What's that?
Is that I'm
You don't. You can certainly get your viewpoint across without using the word shit. But the point is you don't have to. You don't have to. You can use the word shit. And that's what Kelly thinks, that just because you can, you must.
Well, and then she's going to dictate. I mean, that's no longer free speech. So the way that I want to get my message across happens to want to use those words. It's not up to Kelly or anybody else to tell me how I can get my viewpoint across. And sometimes, and this has been said in case law, sometimes those words are what's needed as added effect. And sometimes people just say, I mean, for example, I mentioned that teacher that's raping kids in the USD 497 school district. If you were a parent of a child that was the victim of that guy, you can't go in there and be mad and say cuss words. I mean, if you're that mad, you wanted to say fuck you for hiring it, you can't do that. Even someone whose child has been raped is expected to have some quote unquote decorum and appropriateness and professionalism. Like, government, redress and discussion is heated and passionate. And when the government tries to restrict how you can express yourself, it loses that emotional element of it. And they are dictating and driving your message at that point, rather than you as a free American citizen to say it how you want to get it across. And they should not be allowed to do that. Not in America, man. Not in America. And they certainly should not be under any kind of criminal legal threats for that as well, in terms of being removed by the police and criminal trespassing just for saying words. It's preposterous.
Yeah, fucking course.
Matter of fact,
Dr. Courtney?
Kelly, before we conclude, may I take a moment to make an announcement and share something?
All right, Shannon's going to take a moment and share an announcement with us.
I wanted to just share with folks so that you know, and it relates to the experiences that this board has with public comment in our community, that over the last 4 days in particular, harassment, bullying, and intimidation attempts through voicemail and email, I've received personally over 12.5 of these just in the last 4 days.
That's 18, guys. In 4 days, she received a mix of 18 voicemails and emails. Doesn't seem like a lot. The emails and phone numbers are in the description, so I really hope that number activates. I hope that number activates.
Well, activates. Yeah. It's an indictment on Lawrence as well, because in that LJ World article, she's quoted as saying that that's the most that she's been contacted in her time as a school board member, and she's been on the board for quite a while. And I think that's an indictment on Lawrence, because, you think about it, during that time, you had COVID, so you had school closures, you had mask mandates. There in Lawrence, seems like every year they talk about actually closing down schools because of financial issues, budget cuts. You have a teacher that's raped children inside the school, but yet the most the community has contacted her are these extremists that are upset about the First Amendment. It's like, come on, Lawrence, you guys have plenty of issue to be upset with enough with your school board to be reaching out to them more. But nope, the biggest outrage has been from the far right extremists, 30 to 65-year-old males. Like, Lawrence, that's pathetic, man. Why aren't you reaching out to your elected officials more and trying to hold them accountable? Why is it that this is the thing that gets the most attention? Why?
Yeah, it's a pathetic commentary if you think about it.
It is.
Oh, here, we got to rewind this because she's talking nonsense.
Last 4 days, they're almost exclusively from men between the ages of 30 and 65.
They're almost exclusively from men between the ages of 30 and 65. How she arrived at that, I don't know, but we'll we'll give her that one.
Anybody with common sense and 2 brain cells should be asking themselves, well, how in the world does she know that their age? And then from there, you can just extrapolate that and say, well, what else is she lying about?
Yeah.
Is she lying about all of this as well? If she's going to lie about that? And the answer is yes, most definitely. Because if there are threats taking place and all this other stuff that she's claiming, it's like, file the fucking police report then. Let's see some criminal charges then. Let's see the receipts of this stuff, because if not, you're just fucking making this shit up, is what it seems like to me.
Yeah, and how dare she identify?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Those could be trans women on the phone for all she knows there, Miss Liberal Lady. Let's go. You got to stick consistent with your guys' viewpoints there.
Exactly.
Use hateful, obscene, and misogynistic language.
Hateful and obscene and misogynistic language. Okay.
Voice messages.
That's all they have, man. That's all they have to fall back on. Is that boogeyman, these scary boogeymen on this side. They don't have anything of substance to counter any of it. It's all just smear campaigns and trying to make it seem like there's this legitimate threat coming from the other side.
Yeah, and you're right. If there's not a police report, she's full of shit.
Yep. And you think about it, that would be such an easy thing to prove as well, right? And again, it goes back to the journalists. Why aren't the journalists asking that and be like, dang, Shannon, that sounds serious. Can we see some, you got a case number? Did you call the police? That kind of stuff. They don't even ask the question. They just give these people the platform to speak, and then they report it unquestioningly, and they report it as fact, and then meanwhile, that LJ World article is specifically about me and Michael. It mentions our name, it mentions our YouTube channels, it mentions our content, but they didn't reach out to us for comment. They didn't reach out to us for presenting the other side of that. They didn't reach out to us to try and make it look like it's not a biased article. It's all just printed as fact from one point of view. And the people in Lawrence that read that shit just eat it up and they go, yep, look at these crazy guys, man. Yep, they're doing this shit. They're disrupting the meeting. But none of them stop to think like, well, let's get their side of it. Let's see what they would actually say to counter this, because as you know, there's 3 sides to every story: his side, her side, and the truth. But they're only getting her side, and it's presented as truth and fact, when in reality, there's another side to it that's being completely and intentionally ignored in this.
Yeah. Just seems like she's a big liar. They posted our phone numbers and our emails and our names. Well, she's glossing over whether or not people posted her private information or whether or not they posted her public information.
Precisely. It's a half-truth that's presented as, well, we don't really know if it's private or public, but it's given as though it is their private information. So the stuff that I posted up there is taken straight from USD 497's website. It's their public email address, their USD 497 address, and it's their public phone number, their USD 497 phone numbers. They each have their own phone numbers. This isn't their private email. This isn't their private phone number, but it's presented as though, well, it could be that, guys. It could be. And in fact, because we know how Justin is and he's crazy and all that stuff, you know that it's our private stuff and he's using it to harass us. But the reality of it is it's public. And also, like I said earlier, it's no different than the Lawrence Times newspaper posting their same public email and same public phone numbers, but yet you don't have Shannon Kimball going, oh, Lawrence Times posting our emails and our phone numbers, man, and that's being used to activate their audience and come harass us. That isn't mentioned. And as a matter of fact, they don't have a problem with Lawrence Times posting that exact same information. But as soon as I do it, oh, look out, man, that extremist, man, look out. He's trying to harass us and intimidate us and bully us, man. Never mind the fact that it's the exact same information that's posted by these left-wing fucking journalists.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't. I'm on it right now. USD497.org/school board/meet the board/Shannon Kimball. Her phone number's right there. Her email's right there. All the bullshit about her experiences there.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know the First Amendment.
She don't know the First Amendment. And matter of fact, if I wanted to, or if anybody wanted to post her home address as well, that wouldn't be private information and in a violation of anything, because when someone files the paperwork to run for elected official there, you fill out a form, and on that form you put your home address on there, and that form then becomes public domain. So anybody can go look at that and see their home addresses as well. Now, I haven't done that, but it could happen, and it wouldn't be threatening, it wouldn't be harassing, it wouldn't be intimidating, it wouldn't be bullying, because that's public fucking knowledge. As a public official that knew all of those things going into it. Now, I ran for county commissioner. I filled out that paperwork. I know what it said. You have to fill out you put your information on there, and that's a public document at that point. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Dumb cunt.
Yeah.
Disturbing.
So is the video done?
No, we got 2 minutes left. She's just about peaking.
All right. Yeah.
I want to make the community aware that the bullying, harassment, and intimidation that you've seen in person in our board meetings continues.
Okay, so the bullying, harassment, and intimidation that occurs at the board meetings is continuing. So if those things are happening and they're crimes, and they're happening at the board meeting, why isn't there action being taken? I think it's because she's intentionally, she's obtuse, right? She doesn't understand that she's gaslighting everybody, and the things that she's accusing everybody of doing, she's the one that's doing.
Yeah, she's playing the victim, and you can just tell by the way she talks. She's trying to hit all the liberal talking points. Even her using the three words: bullying, harassment, and intimidation. Just the fact that she's using three words is kind of like a cadence that people use, and they try to, sound smart and stuff like that. And her using extremist groups as well, and online extremist group. Those are all liberal talking points. They don't even have to be true. They just have to be said, and everybody on her side will just lap it up and go, "Oh, you poor, strong, brave woman. Look at what you have to put up with. And you go, girl, and keep fighting the fight. We're behind you 100%. Those big, meanie, scary right-wing extremists, man, wow, look what you have to put up with."
She's a strong woman.
Yep, strong feminist woman right there that fucking has to cry about it during a fucking meeting and not give any sort of opportunity for pushback on it. She did it. This was the last thing at the meeting. You'll see at the end of this, as soon as she's done speaking, they adjourn and go home for the night. And it's on the record as fact that these things are happening. There's no pushback on it.
Wow. Well, let's see her finish this.
On the floor of the boardroom currently, it's just not happening on the floor of the boardroom currently. It's happening online, and it's extending far beyond what you see or what is being reported about in the media or otherwise. And the perpetrators of these intimidation tactics are coming from both within our community and also well beyond the boundaries of our community and even our state. They're coming from all over the United States. And this is because what happens is that the video from our meetings is being used to create YouTube content that is then shared.
She doesn't understand that she is the YouTube content. It's not that people are creating YouTube content. She's creating the YouTube content, and people are sharing it. If she wasn't doing this tyrannical bullshit, nobody would care about their fucking board meetings. You wouldn't be going to them. Nobody gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit. Yeah, and that content is, their stream. It's their stream. It's what's said in the record in those meetings. Because, like I said, I'm not allowed in those meetings, so I don't have my camera in there recording, creating content. It's their board meeting presented as fact. And that's what it is, as fact.
Yeah, I think when I was on the school board website earlier, I think it was right fucking there. She's denouncing YouTube. Well, here's the district's YouTube channel. What?
Yeah. For extremists in the community, I guess, to go and watch and see what these lefties are doing in the school board. Yep, those extremists.
All right. We're almost through. We got a minute. We're there.
Extremist online groups, and this is something that I would wager that the volume of hate speech that's been directed at me personally is probably less than what is being experienced by other women on our board.
Volume of hate speech. Okay.
Right, she tried to frame these things as hate speech. It's like, can we get a definition on that? But, simply pushing back and holding you accountable is not fucking hate speech.
Yeah, a definition would be great. And then maybe you could share the hate speech with us and we could determine whether or not you're just in your feelings or whether or not it's actually hate speech. But unless it's true threats, it doesn't really matter if it's hate speech, because hate speech should be the speech that we protect most.
Exactly. 100%, man.
Fucking.
However,
But these people on the left, they really do believe that those things should not be allowed. That LJ World article talks about how me and Michael think that we're free speech absolutists because we think we can go in there and say things. I forget what the wording is, but say things about make gendered comments about people. As if that is off limits. They really do think that things that are said should be off limits under the guise of hate speech. So if you go in there and say, man, you're a nasty woman for the way you're handling these meetings, they would all be just like, you can't say that in a meeting. You can't say that about women. That's misogynistic. You can't say that. But the reality is like, sorry, free speech, motherfucker. You can definitely fucking say that. You can definitely fucking say things about whatever it is you want to say, man. It's called free speech, but we're these people that are elected, and we're going more and more. And I hate to see what a generation from now is going to be, where you got all these soft liberals that really will move to outlaw things like that from being said. I mean, you're already seeing it happen here as well, and it's under the guise of, in that LJ World article says, like, it's scary. It's scary to them. Oh, really? So my words from remotely said online are scary to you? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. How is that scary? And even if it is scary, it's not off limits. Man, take it easy, you soft motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly.
That I refuse personally to be silenced by these bullying attempts. Our community and our peers.
She's not going to be silenced by the bullying attempts, just to be clear, everyone.
City government need to know that.
Well, and that's her trying to, rally her people behind her. Like, look how, these guys, man, they're coming after me because I'm a woman, but I'm not going to be deterred. I'm a brave woman. I'm a fighter. I'm a brave woman. But the reality is, like, there's nothing for her to even be afraid of, So it's not like she's not being brave. She's just having to listen to people voice their concerns and objections of her. That doesn't require any courage or bravery. It just requires it's the job requirement of being an elected public official. You have to hear from the constituents and the people in the public about your job. There's no bravery involved in that. That's just your job.
Exactly. It's actually cowardice to do what she's doing right now.
Exactly. It is big time cowardice and weak as fuck too.
Joint collective efforts that we are all trying to make to ensure that civil, safe, and inclusive civic dialogue is preserved and continue in this community. So thank you for letting me share that, and I appreciate your indulgence. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Right into the adjournment.
What is that?
Right into the adjournment.
Yeah, they're done for the night. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so there were a
last
couple
thing he said.
articles you sent me along. I've been putting this up on the screen a little bit while you've been talking about it, but here's the article. It's linked in the I think it's linked in the description. But it just looks like bias. It looks like the voice explodes from the speaker. You have no, I'm assuming, fucking brains. Well, you don't have any fucking brains, and it's okay that people say that. Get some thicker skin. These people need thicker skin. It's people there. It's people. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They've infected the whole nation, and we're paying for it now through lawfare. You're paying for it. I'm paying for it. Michael's paying for it. Lane's paying for it. Countless masses of people that stand up are paying for it, and it's fucking gross.
It is, and that article, like you said, it's biased. Yeah, it's straight up propaganda, and there's nothing wrong with somebody saying, "Do you have any fucking brains?" That's not newsworthy. That's not headline generating, but it is in this article. Now, if somebody said, "I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to fucking kill you," if they would have said that, yeah, shit, that's wow. That's too much. But saying you have no fucking brains, they're trying to paint that as some sort of, they've crossed a line. Look what she has to put up with. Who would tolerate this? If anybody's considering running for public office, they might now not want to because they have to listen to somebody say you have no fucking brains. That's not a serious thing that somebody has said. It's like it's just language. It's just saying you have no fucking brains. It's a cuss word mixed in with some criticism. That's all it is. It's not a threat in any sense of the word. It's not news.
And it's not if we need to. I actually lost my thought, so we can just go right past it.
That's all right. Yeah. Well, this has worked out really nicely. Like I said, I haven't been able to hear or see the video, but it's worked out nicely because we just kind of just let it play. The video speaks for itself. There's no editing involved in any of this. The videos just play. I'll cut back to previous meetings because it ties into things that are said. But these meetings speak for themselves. You could go to the USD 497 YouTube page and pull up that meeting and see everything said word for word. But one of the advantages of actually being in the meeting, so like you can go back and you can look at when a couple meetings ago, for example, Carrie was removed from there under threat of arrest for trespassing. There was an additional camera inside the room that was filming it, and thank God for that. Thank God for a citizen journalist doing that, because the only other feed would be the USD 497 camera, which wasn't pointing at her. And then you got these, what they would consider journalists there that aren't recording it as well. They're just sitting there listening and reporting it to the community through their filtered perspective, their filtered lens of it, and not recording it. And so it's really important that we have people that go to the meetings to record that, because you only get one side of it. You only get the one angle. But even then, you can see from the meetings, what is said and stuff like that during general public comment. These are just facts. What's being said is being said. There's no editing. There's no altering it or anything. It's presented as is.
Yeah, and it's chilling stuff. So in the description, I got links to your channel, obviously, and to the video that we discussed today. But more importantly, there's all of the contact information for these board members. They obviously don't understand. They don't understand, and they need people to reach out to them and help them understand. And I'm encouraging each and every one of you to reach out and help them understand peacefully. Nobody's ever advocating for violence. What we want is for people that serve the people to respect our rights. And if they don't understand that, I think it's our duty to tell them.
Yep, precisely. I agree, man.
So, Dr. Speece, do you have any closing thoughts? Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, I don't think so. I think that's it. I appreciate everyone that's tuning in and watching. And again, I just would encourage you to go check out my channel and subscribe to it. And check out my videos. They're not all just about the school board. Like I said, I mean, I have footage of all the arrests, the unlawful arrests that have happened. I have footage of all the removals from places. I have footage of inside the library when this stuff has happened. It's all stuff that's happened to me. It's not secondhand happening to somebody else. It's all happening to me. So I would appreciate you going and checking it out and subscribing, and then also sharing it out as much, because like Foshin was just saying there, the main thing is the education part of it. And I think these videos are very educational in terms of opening people's eyes to what is really happening. So the more people that can see it, the better, because it is an eye-opening thing when you realize what exactly is taking place and what could happen as well. And so the more people that see that, I think the better. So I appreciate everyone checking it out. And also for you, brother, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you taking an interest in this. I mean, I sent you that video this morning, and then an hour later we're sitting down talking about it. So I really appreciate your advocacy and your willingness to help educate and push back on this stuff too. It really matters to me, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you're certainly welcome, and people like you and Michael make it a lot easier to do stuff like this, because I don't feel like I'm doing it in a vacuum. So I appreciate you just as much as you appreciate me, and same for Lawrence Accountability. Thanks again for coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, talk to you.
All right.
All right, see you later, everybody.